You got two teams coming off completely different emotional week 6. Cleveland fired up. They beat the Giants on Monday night. Washington, well, what happened? Lost to the previously winless St. Louis Rams at home. Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz, CBS Sports' Charley Casserly. Glad to be with you on the NFL previews presented by Comcast. And Charley, let's start with the Browns. We're positive people. We've said that before. They had a positive game. But what was so different against the Giants offensively than they had the previous 4 games?
Well, first of all, I think Derek Anderson played his best game of the year. What they did is they worked on the running game, which helped them. Short passing game, took a few shots deep. Braylon Edwards, I think he played his best game of the year. So what you had is 2 of their key players from a year ago, when they had a very prolific offense, played their best games of the year. Edwards didn't drop the ball. Anderson was more accurate, but they helped them by a short passing game.
Edwards is about a third of that offense, career high 154 yards receiving, but can they do that and duplicate it against Washington's defense?
Well, here's the thing now. They scored 35 points, but 7 comes on an Eli Manning interception. 14 come against Aaron Ross, beaten one time deep and fell down another time. So that's 21 points out of that 35, which really, I don't know that they can't end up being gimmies for them. They're not going to have those gimmies. The Redskins have a better secondary than the New York Giants, so they're going to slow down that passing game better. They're going to take Braylon Edwards out of the game like they took Terrell Owens out of the football game. Kellen Winslow, who didn't play last week, we don't know if he's going to play this week, and he's not going to be effective if he's not practicing anyway. So I don't think they're going to be quite as prolific offensively as that 35 points, but I do think they're going to be competitive enough on offense to make Washington work.
And as we're taping this on Thursday, Kellen Winslow is still getting the mandated rest that he has to in his house. He hasn't even been able to go with that undisclosed illness to team practice. As for Washington, the loss to St. Louis, you can chalk it up to turnovers. Their first 3 offensive turnovers of the season, which is incredible to get 6 games deep and finally have your first 3 offensive turnovers. But what else happened there in that game?
Well, I think, first of all, Santana Moss, who in the first 4 games has been a dominant player for him. What happened is 2 weeks ago, Philadelphia shut him out. This week, he got shut out by St. Louis. People are going to figure out, stop Santana Moss, make Randall L. Beecher. They haven't got Chris Cooley involved in the passing game enough. I think that's the next factor for Washington. Chris Cooley has to become a factor during this football game if they're going to double cover Santana Moss.
What about Clinton Portis? Because he's been spectacular this year. They signed Sean Alexander this week to be his backup, so he'll be in a Redskins jersey because Liddell Betts is injured. But it is Clinton Portis. Can he run on Cleveland?
I think he can run on Cleveland. But the whole there is going to be, how do you take care of the nose tackle? And here you see Portis' stats, very impressive this year. But how do you take care of the nose tackle, Sean Rogers, who is about as big as 2 people, okay, in that middle? Now, when the Redskins played the 34 defense against the Dallas Cowboys, their guards did an outstanding job, okay, of what we call combo blocking or chipping. In other words, they come in there and they helped Casey Rayback, the center, get some kind of push or control on the nose tackle, and the guard came off to the backer. Very effective scheme. Look for them to try to run inside in that scheme like they did against Dallas. If they're not able to, then they'll have more. They probably have more effectiveness outside. So the more I think about it, probably start outside, then come back inside, because Sean Rogers will be effective inside. But I still think they can run on him because I think they'll block their outside backers.
And the one thing that Jim Zorn preached to practice this week, don't let your offensive linemen try and run with a fumble, because it's going to turn into points for the other team. Pete Kendall, example A. Charley, it's a big game. Cleveland is starting. They've won 2 in a row, maybe feeling good about themselves. They had the bye before the win against the Giants. Can they go to Washington and win?
Yes, they can. I don't think they will, though. Cleveland has momentum here, as you pointed out, Jason. Big win on Monday night, 2 in a row, got the bye in there. They're starting to feel good about themselves. But the Redskins totally outplayed St. Louis last week. They really did. That was kind of a fluke that they lost there. But they'll have their jaw set. I think offensively they're going to be able to run the ball effectively against this Cleveland defense, more so to the outside, the more I think about it. And I think Santana Moss will have be able to make some plays in the game. Chris Cooley will come up big. But over on the defensive side of the ball, this secondary, I think, will shut down Braylon Edwards and Derek Anderson. Still, to me, even though he's better last week, I still don't think he is where he was last week. They really miss Kellen Winslow.
Cleveland did still give up almost 380 yards of offense to the Giants, so Washington should be able to move the football.
Right.
Can they hang on to the football this week like they were not able to last week? Jason Campbell still hasn't thrown an interception this year. It's phenomenal. For more on this game, which is a 4:15 start on CBS or any other here in Week 7, be sure to stay with CBSSports.com. Watch everything else on the CBS Audience Network. For Charley Casserly, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.